Today we have my wonderful sister Zoe. She currently has on some gels that are about a week old, but now that she's done with volleyball, she is so ready to get some acrylics back on. My first step is going to be to get rid of the gel polish. I'm going to do that by using my Chiara Sky coarse 5-in-1 drill bit. Now, while using this drill bit, I am being very cautious not to hit the nail plate. I do this by only drilling down to the clear base coat of the gel polish, and I make sure that the speed of my drill is no more than 7 or 8,000 RPMs. With this method, there are going to be some areas of the nail where the gel polish is going to be harder to remove than others. In this case, just leave it on the nail. You don't want to risk damaging the nail plate by trying to get off some stubborn gel polish. In our next step, we will have a much gentler way of removing the color, so you really don't need to worry about it at all. Personally, I like to shoot for 95% of the color off of the nail before I move on to my next step. Before moving on to the next step of removing the gel polish, I am taking my cuticle pusher and pushing back the cuticle to help expose any cuticle growth that needs to get removed. The next step for us to remove the gel polish is to use a medium grit sanding band. I like to get mine from Kiara Sky. I am keeping this at no more than 5,000 RPMs. This stage of removing the gel polish is also going to serve as our cuticle prep. Now when I do this, I like to go around the cuticle area first, then feather the sanding band up the rest of the nail plate. This is really effective at gently getting off the excess gel polish and base coat. If you are unable to remove all of the base coat, that's honestly fine. It won't affect the retention of the acrylic as long as 95% of it is off. So now that all of the gel polish is off, I am moving on with the next stage of my cuticle prep. For this, I am using a medium-sized ball bit at 5,000 RPMs. I am running it around her cuticle, and this just helps lift up the cuticle so that when I go in with my nippers, I can easily clip it without nicking her live skin. Here I am going in with my cuticle nippers. I know that a lot of people aren't very comfortable with this, but I'm really confident in it. My rule of thumb is to only clip something that is very, very obviously dead skin or dead cuticle. This just helps you be sure that you're not nicking any live skin. Once all of my cuticle prep is done, I am going in with my Young Nail Swipe on a manicure brush, and I'm really just cleansing the surface of every single nail plate to ensure that it's all ready for the application of my tips. For my tips, these are from Amazon. They're pretty cheap, probably about $10 or $12, and the glue that I'm applying them with is from Young Nails. Now when I go in to apply my tips, I size them on first, make sure that it's about the right size. Then I'll apply the glue and firmly hold it in place for about 10 seconds. When sizing a tip to the nail, you want to make sure that it fits from sidewall to sidewall. If you encounter yourself in a situation where the nail is in between sizes, always go for the bigger size. With a bigger size, you can cut down the sides and make sure that it fits the nail perfectly. However, if you go with a smaller size tip than what the nail needs, then you're going to end up with a weird lip in your finished product that is really hard to fix. After all of the tips have been applied, I like to cut them down with a very handy tool that I got off of Amazon. It is a nail tip cutter, but it has, I think, 9 different sizes on it, where when you cut the nail tip down, it will cut it down to the same length every time. This is super helpful. I definitely recommend one. It was only about $7, which is pretty close to the price of a regular nail tip cutter. So if you're gonna get one, I would definitely get one of these. Here I am telling my sister to cross her hands. I do that so I can easily measure up each nail against each other. This is just to double check that each finger is the same size as its matching finger on the other hand. And after that is all done, I am just going in with my medium grip sanding band once again to blend the plastic tip into the natural nail so that there isn't as huge of a ridge where the tip meets the natural nail. Here I am just going in with Young Nails Swipe once again in preparation for Young Nails Protein Bond. Protein Bond helps the acrylic adhere much better to the natural nail, so for this step I am applying 2 coats to each and every nail. Once my prep is completely done, I'm pouring out my monomer from Kiara Sky, and I'm also using a Kolinsky brush from them in size 12. The acrylic I'm using is Perfect Nude from Valentino. I really love this one. For my application, honestly, it's different for every nail, but typically I will start with a small bead where the tip meets the natural nail. I'll bring it up so that there's no harsh ridge when I file, and then blend it all down towards the end of the tip. Next, I'll either place a bead near the cuticle or down by the end of the tip. For this one, clearly I'm bringing it up to the cuticle and blending it all down towards the end of the nail. Looks like I didn't get close enough to the cuticle area, so I'm going in with another really small bead and pushing it up, just barely touching the cuticle. Here I'm cleaning up to make sure everything's nice and smooth, and now I'm adding a final bead down by the tip of the nail to make sure everything's covered. Here you will see me blending the acrylic with my brush to make sure there are no harsh transition lines, and I will also swipe the side walls of the nail to make sure the shape stays nice and crisp. Here I saw a little lip where the tip meets the nail, and so I just filled that in with a bit more acrylic. Once I've finished acrylic application, I dunk my brush in the excess monomer a few times and then brush it off on a clean spot of the paper towel. The next step is to shape the nails using a hand file. Some people like to start with the drill. I personally like to start with the hand file. I feel as though I have more control and it gives me a crisper and cleaner shape. Now my process for hand filing is to file both sides of the nail, then go horizontally over the top with my file to make sure that everything is even and there's no dips in the acrylic. Then for my final step, I will file the tip of the nail to get a nice and crisp shape. On this set, especially because the nails are so short, the cuticle area ended up being super thin, so I didn't feel the need to go around it with an electric file because it's already extremely thin and flush to the natural nail. In most cases, I would go around the cuticle area with an electric file to really just thin things out even more, especially on longer nails, but in this case I didn't feel the need to. So the hand file did a really good job alone with getting a really nice crisp shape. Now that my hand filing is done, I'm going in with a buffer to get rid of any deep scratches left by the hand file. The final step to shaping the nails is to measure up the length, once again like we did with the tips. This just helps make sure that everything is even and uniform so the final set will look perfect. Before we start with the French tips, I am just going through with swipe after I've dusted off the nails just to give us a nice clean surface to work on. After I apply the swipe, I'm going to go in with my base coat. This one is from Chiara Sky. I have been really liking this one actually. It's really nice for acrylic. It doesn't separate or anything. And I also like the brush. The brush is really nice. It has that rounded tip, which is perfect for gel application. Once my base coat is cured, I'm going in with the Gel Art Liner brush from Kiara Sky. This one is in white for the white French tip. And I start by striping the tip of the nail all the way across. And my sister asked for somewhat thin Frenches, so I just did one stripe across the tip about the width of the liner brush, and then I drew the curves of the French just a little bit into her nail. She didn't want a super deep French, just a nice thin classic French. If I ever make a mistake, like here you can see I'm making the French tip a little too thick, I'll take my cleanup brush after it's been dipped in some acetone and just wipe it right up. See, it's like it never happened. Let's talk about these Gel Art liner brushes for a second from Kiara Sky. I got this huge pack with a ton of colors and I am honestly just so in love with it. Each color is super opaque, which makes my job 10 times easier because I only have to run through my design once and it's done. The tip is super sharp so I can get some thin lines in, and I can also do thicker lines, which is great for the French tips. It really just is such a time saver, and I definitely recommend them if you're looking for some good liner brushes. I completely forgot to show the bottle, but I am using the Young Nails Ultimate Finish Gel. I have tried so many top coats, okay, and this one is literally, mwah, it is amazing. The issue I'm having is all of my top coats are separating in like certain areas of the nail. Like it will collect in certain areas and then there'll be completely dry spots or holes, and it's a really weird thing that's happening to me. And it's happened with about 3 different brands of top coats that I've tried, but Young Nails is coming through and I have never had an issue with this top coat. I'm starting to think that it's because I store my all my gels in my nail area, which is actually a sunroom, and the temperatures fluctuate a bunch, so I'm wondering if that has an effect on the gel. I don't know, but the point is, Young Nails never had an issue with their top coat. It's super shiny. I love it. I just ordered their no stain top coat, which I'm super excited to try out. It's not called no stain, but it's a stain resistant top coat that I am super, super, super excited to try out because I have a ton of clients that work with their hands a bunch and it will help them out a lot. I can't wait to try it. Now that the top coat is done, I'm doing some little touch-ups. She had some hanging off cuticle that I just wanted to clean up real quick before I put on the cuticle oil. I get my cuticle oil from Young Nails. It's their rose scent, which smells amazing. I definitely recommend it. It's in a little applicator pen, which makes application a breeze. You don't have to worry about it dripping. Definitely recommend. I get them from Amazon. And here they are, the final product. I absolutely love how they came out. The shape, the color, everything is just perfect for her. I just wanted to give a little thank you if you're still watching. I've never really done anything like this before, so this is all completely new to me. If you have any feedback, any ideas, really anything, just leave them in the comments below. Maybe give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you feel so inclined. I would appreciate it so much. Again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.